Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is the latest installment in our solo pigment series, Cobalt Blue. Cobalt Blue, come on up, take a bow. Cobalt Blue is so beautiful. We love you, Cobalt Blue. I've got some pretty good articles about Cobalt Blue, and I knew I would. Cobalt Blue is one of these very historical pigments. It's quite important, and it's very significant, as well as being very beautiful. By the way, I'm doing this painting on a board I've tinted with a little bit of Cobalt Blue. It's a little darker, a little off. That's because I believe I rubbed it over the top of some gray or something like that, so I don't actually recall. I think I did, though. I didn't really want any of that warm wood pine color coming through. That would definitely mess with things. Anyway, my history with Cobalt Blue goes way, way back. I started with ultramarine blue, as I think many people do. A lot of people like ultramarine blue. I don't love it. I don't love it. And I can use it, I could paint with it, I can definitely see what people see in it, but for me, given my druthers between ultramarine and cobalt, I would go cobalt every time. Now we're going to be doing the last painting in this series coming up, which is going to be Phthalo Blue. Phthalo Blue is really the one that's always on my palette, so it's kind of superseded cobalt. I have cobalt on my palette. There are times I will, if I know I've got a big passage of where I want blue sky, actual blue sky, which if you know my work, you don't see that many paintings like that, but there's a couple in the mix. I'll want to reach for cobalt, but in 9 out of 10 cases, phthalo blue, it's a lot cheaper for one, and I can get a lot of the similar effects. Now, one of the articles I'm going to read claims that cobalt is neither warm nor cool, and I see what they're saying, but it's definitely warmer than phthalo. So in a lot of cases I would probably just have this as my warmer blue and phthalo as my cooler blue. And if I'm doing like a blue themed painting, I might lean on both, and I might also bring some dioxine into the mix as well. Anyway, so I've had it since I started with ultramarine, got out of ultramarine pretty quick, and tipped right into cobalt. And funny enough, I think I may have had one giant tube of cobalt. The cobalt being very expensive, actually, for maybe 9 years. I think I just finished it off this year, so started a new tube that should take me, well, I don't paint extremely large, so if I did, I think I would end up using more pigment, of course, and I have been increasingly painting bigger and bigger, but I find cobalt to be very beautiful, as does Vincent van Gogh, who we'll be hearing from in a moment, so stay tuned for that. I don't use cobalt very much anywhere but in the sky. I don't see a whole lot of play, unless I'm doing a blue themed landscape like this one. Now this painting isn't radically different from the sorts of paintings I might have done in the past when I want to do a blue themed sort of thing. I've been working my blue thing for years. Probably do a couple blue paintings every year. What's different maybe about this one is that it's only cobalt and black, and it came out pretty good. There's another tree coming in, which I was debating even putting in. Definitely, if you tune into the live version of this, you'll hear me struggle. It'll probably just go flying by in this sped up version. By the way, some of you may or may not be aware, there's like full-length versions of every 15-minute video that go up into the members area, where you're getting the my live diatribe as I paint, and it's not like it's extremely dense, but there are things that come up and that are mentioned in the live painting sessions that I may never get to in these little sped up 15-minute deals. Yeah. Now let's go ahead and get into some articles about cobalt. I've got 3 good ones, so let's start with this first one, which is just a brief description of it. It's a brief description of Cobalt Blue. This is Pigments for the Ages, webexhibits.org. It's a cobalt oxide, aluminum oxide, very costly and extraordinary stable pigment of pure blue color. Discovered by Thenard in 1802, it was often called Thenard Blue. It is now the most important of the cobalt pigments, although smalt, a pigment made from cobalt blue glass, has been known at least since the Middle Ages. The cobalt blue established in the 19th century was a greatly improved one. Now smalt, I didn't know smalt involved cobalt at all. I have seen it, and smalt is like very pale blue, and it's kind of a kiss your sister sort of color. Yeah. They've got some examples. Painting, bada. We're going to move on. Thank you. Now, yes, I really like this last article with the color psychology meaning of cobalt. Ooh. But we'll first, I was able to go to Winsor Newton's site. Not their best Spotlight on article, but this is Spotlight on Cobalt Blue off of windsornewton.com. Cobalt blue is a clean blue that is neither warm nor cold. Like I said, I think it leans warm, but I agree it's very clean. Where I find ultramarine muddy. There we go. There's a big distinction between the two. With a moderate tinting strength, it is useful on the palette for muted color mixes. It is a semi-transparent in both their oil color and blahs. Cobalt blue, Cobalt Blue Deep, a unique red shade of Cobalt Blue, is made by using cobalt zinc silicate. So they have some variations of it. I know there's a Cobalt Violet, which is quite pretty, but yeah, I don't need to spend 60, 70 bucks on a tube of violet when I can match that color pretty easily. So, but you know, if you're passionate, if it's really floating your boat and you think, oh, I can't wait to use that Cobalt Violet today, you should get yourself a tube. I'm sure it's very beautiful. Let's see. Until the 19th century, the best blue pigment available to artists was ultramarine, laboriously ground from lapis lazuli, a semi-precious stone mined only in distant Afghanistan. Ultramarine meaning from over the sea. The prohibitive cost of this pigment promoted the Napoleonic administration to find an alternative, because he liked blue. Probably old Napoleon, he wanted to be painted with some blue, and you would have two separate prices. You'd have the price for the painting and the price for the blue pigment. Yeah, if they wanted a lot of blue. And a lot of artists, masters in the old days, would just use, a gray made from ivory black and white as a blue substitute. And you can definitely, I do that all the time, probably more than I use actual blue in my work. Yeah. The chemist Louis Jacques Thenard was Thenard, probably you don't pronounce the D. I'm not French. Was commissioned by the French Interior Minister, another guy, to develop a synthetic substitute for ultramarine. Now this I did not know. I thought French ultramarine predated cobalt blue, but that is not the case. Thenard knew the famous this potteries in France used smalts containing cobalt to produce their blue glazes, and in 1802, from a mix of cobalt salts and alumina, he produced a pigment called Cobalt Blue, with a purer tint than Prussian blue. I really would like to get into some Prussian blue. Prussian blue has been completely supplanted by phthalo blue, though, so it's like, why bother? If I was real pedantic and academic as a painter, there's a bunch of pigments I would get into, but let's keep moving. In fact, Cobalt Blue sometimes is called Parrish Blue, after the artist Maxfield Parrish, who made famously intense blue skyscapes using this color. Smalt is a bright variation on Cobalt Blue, blah blah blah. Thank you, Winsor Newton. Now, I like this one, colorpsychologymeaning.com. Cobalt color. Ooh. Hey, by the way, the RGB code is 171 and then 171. Weird, huh? Cobalt color. Cobalt is a popular darker shade of blue, which is also known as Thenard's blue. This page will look into the history and application of the color, plus the meanings and psychological influences that it may have on some individuals. Cobalt Origins. The cobalt color is a result of cobalt monoxide and alumina being manipulated, compressed, and heated in such a way that it results in a cobalt pigment. Throughout history, cobalt blue has been a popular color for paint, jewelry, glass, and Chinese porcelain. Let's see, we're learning stuff, eh? We're learning a lot. Okay. This explains a lot. We've all seen the Chinese porcelain. We've all seen that blue. That goes way back. Way back. The date of which it was first used in Chinese porcelain is uncertain. The pigment of cobalt was created independently in the West from its origins in China. Amazing. Pardon me. In France, the pigment was discovered in 1802. I would say synthesized instead of discovered, but that's okay. The color is sometimes referred to as Thenard's blue. Records suggest the first use of the name cobalt being assigned to the color was around 1780. How could that be when it was discovered in whatever? The pigment is also believed to be toxic, so proper measures need to be taken when dealing with it. I wasn't aware, but I take proper measures with all my pigments. Yes. Cobalt is a particularly popular shade of blue, once referred to as a divine color by Vincent van Gogh. Vincent, you knew what you were talking about. You're one of the best painters that ever lived. I don't work in your style, bro, but I love your work. Okay. Many people wouldn't be able to differentiate between cobalt and regular blue. It would take a certain type of person to truly appreciate and notice the difference of the shade. This is true. This is true. I can definitely discern the difference between a phthalo and a cobalt blue. But for my purposes, usually blue is a pretty tiny bit of a colorful sky, so not a big deal. Not a big deal. Yes. Subtle differences, and those differences are important to them. This would be a person that appreciates art and beauty, likely favors abstract art. Don't know about that. But oh, this is meaning and personality. Yeah. It would likely suggest that a person that was very in tune with their intuitive side, often relying on their sixth sense. Okay, cobalt lovers would likely have similar traits to the conventional blue personality. Are you one of these conventional blue types? Yeah, okay, that's enough psychology. But I like that little slab of history there. That was cool, huh? So, this painting based on an old pictorialist photo from 100-something years ago. Really cool photo, actually. That tree, I ended up pulling it off. 2 trees, actually, but they work in as one mass. Decided not to get overly tweaky with this guy. Keep it pretty simple, and I'm pretty happy with this painting. I think it's a saleable little painting. A lot of people like my little. I've noticed the people that are into the blue paintings really are into them. Love the blue paintings. In fact, they have a little gallery in the art center where I have my studio, and the lady in charge of that came in and grabbed all of the blue paintings out of my studio. Basically has a little mini M. Francis blue painting show going on there. Yeah, which is fine. I said, whatever you want. I have, a lot of paintings hanging around. Speaking of, I really should get on the mailing list. I'm thinking of sending out a coupon or something, but tip on over to my store. You're looking for Christmas gifts. These paintings are going to be family heirlooms and, long after you're dead. Anyway, go visit my site. I do aim to get some more good things in there. I have a box of things to photograph. I keep putting that off, as is my way. You've already seen all the videos of everything I need to photograph, so there's always a big delay between that and getting them in the store. But anyway, go check out my site, and I told you about the members area earlier. You can do that, or send me a nice little donation. I just used some donations for some of the big supporters of the channel that helped me buy some hard drives, which are pretty vital for storing all this video information. So I really appreciate them so much. You guys are, in my view, heroes and some of the best representatives of humanity that we really have. Because you stepped up, and that's great. But even if you're just watching, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And until I come back with another video presentation for you, which I will very soon, it's going to be phthalo, and then we're out of this solo pigment thing. I've got a bunch of really cool paintings I want to share with you. which will be coming up too. So until that time, please do me a favor, take good care, stay out of trouble, be patient with everyone right now, and there you go.